So we all know Sonic Frontiers is coming, and though the wait has been long, we will know more about this game eventually. But what are some things that we want to see in this game? I have a personal top 10 list, and I'm going to tell you all right now. Hello dear beautiful human, my name is RidersDX, and today we're going to be chatting about Sonic Frontiers because it's kind of a weird thing to talk about for me because there's really not much we know about it right now, so everything that I'm talking about is pretty much speculation. But it is a fun thing to talk about, and I was just thinking with the year coming to an end, we are going to learn more about this game in the coming year, which is really exciting because it just seems like such an abstract kind of Sonic game, you know, just based on everything we know about it so far. So there's really a lot that is just unknown about it, and my imagination is just going wild in terms of what it could be like. And so I thought I'd take the time to sit down and come up with a list of 10 things that I hope to see in this game. Now, whether or not we actually see these things in the game is, well, time will tell, I guess. But some of these things are definitely very possible, while other things are a little bit more reaching for the stars. But you know what? If Sega has that goal, then they can ultimately achieve it if they choose to. So here's my 10 things right now. Number 1, so this is something that I really do hope is going to be in this game if it is going to be full on open world as it's alleged to be. So Sonic should be able to travel as fast and as slow as you want him to in an open world kind of game. So at slower speeds he should be able to walk around, talk to locals, discover secrets, enter buildings, and so many other things. But when he's going across a large area, he should be able to just boost and reach astronomical speeds to quickly traverse those areas. That's definitely going to be a tough thing to program because it's something that I don't think any boost game was able to get perfectly. I think the closest game that came to doing that was Generations, but even Generations had some of its awkward moments with the 3D platforming. However, I think it's perfectly possible, especially given the fact that you're not going through a fast-paced level here. You're creating an open world that Sonic gets to freely travel through. So it's more so like the restraints are off in terms of like propelling Sonic forward. He doesn't necessarily have to be going forward all the time. I think that if they make it so that Sonic can go really fast if he has to, but if he doesn't go fast and he just switches to different sets of physics and is able to walk around leisurely and explore things around, I think that is going to make the ultimate package in terms of making sure that this open world game feels as free as possible, because that's so important, is just making sure that the character that you're playing as actually feels like someone that can travel all across the world easily and in a fun way. I can just imagine how fun it would be with Sonic to just like blaze through tons and tons of fields just to get to wherever location you want to get to, and then reach a city, and then you're like, oh, let's slow down a little bit and check out the locals and kind of see what's going on. So hopefully they reach that balance. It's a tall order to me, but I think they have what it takes. At number 2, so this opinion definitely may differ from yours, but I want like an adventure-like setting with humans filling the world. This may just be a personal taste thing, but seeing the world filled with flickies and other anthropomorphic creatures in Lost World and Forces just wasn't nearly as interesting to me. I don't know, there's just something about seeing like other creatures of Sonic species hanging around the world. It just feels like, okay, so it's just another fantastical world with lots of weird creatures walking around, you know, been there, done that kind of thing. I mean, they did kind of make it work in Sonic Boom. I did like the setting there, but I've always just found the concept of Sonic and his friends having to fit into a human-made world to be so much more engaging, as evidenced in adventure games and Unleashed, because in this way Sonic feels like a legend and abnormality, and it feels so good to play someone like that in a video game. Like take Spider-Man for instance. It just feels so awesome to be swinging around New York City as Spider-Man because you feel like you're above everyone else in a way in terms of your abilities and such. That's what it feels like playing as Sonic in the adventure games. I really want to see that same feeling come back here. I'm not asking for hyper-realistic humans, but maybe some kind of cross between Adventure and Unleashed would be just perfect. At number 3, I'm pretty sure this will be controversial as well, but I do not want Eggman to be the main villain here. I feel like for an adventure on this scale to be as epic as it can be, they need a fresh new villain to threaten the world. The reason we grew tired of Monster of the Week before was because nearly every Sonic game was doing it, but now almost every Sonic game has Eggman as the main villain. That itself can get old as well, and it has. They shouldn't just copy and paste Perfect Chaos or Dark Gaia though. They should still try to aim for a villain that is chilling and threatening, but in a fresh way. I don't know what that looked like, I'm not a writer, but that's where you got a whole team of writers that's supposed to come up with that. So take advantage of it, do something a little bit more fresh and interesting, kind of just do something that isn't something that was done before, which I know is a tall order, but I mean, anything is possible. At number 4, with this being open world, I also want to see many characters from Sonic's universe appear in the world as well. Sonic has such an expansive world of characters, and this is the perfect way to make use of them, because they can appear throughout the entire world and they can also have their own sets of side quests and storylines that you can follow. It could even be a great way to make callbacks throughout the franchise's history by talking to certain characters. So seeing people like the Chaotix, who typically wouldn't have a big role in a Sonic game, if you're able to just like slow down and play through some of their own missions and kind of learn a little bit more about these characters, that's a great way to build lore and just give attention to as many Sonic characters as possible. So I really do hope we see a bunch of familiar faces here. At number 5, I'm going to take that a step further and hope that other Sonic characters are playable with their own playstyles. So this could be done in a manner of levels that you could access along the boost levels as Sonic, and they could be made optional as well, so as to not impact the main campaign for those that don't want to play as other characters, because I work on a video right now about the most hated Sonic games, and I've seen so many criticisms about multiple gameplay styles really impacting the game. So I think that multiple playable characters is such a cool idea still, but making it so that it's not something that impacts the main campaign too much, I think is very important as well. So I love to see Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Blaze, Shadow, all these different characters just come in with their own separate levels and just, give you the option to have a little more variety in case you get a little bored of Sonic. It could be done in fashion of like Spyro games, for instance, where you kind of just have these moments throughout the game's storyline where you switch to a different character and play as them for like a short level set. It doesn't have to be a full-on multiple storyline thing, kind of like the adventure games, but it's still good to have multiple characters in there just to vary things up. At number 6, Sega, better include a child garden in this game. What a perfect game to put in a child garden. With all the potential items that you could collect in an open world, so much of that could be used towards a child garden, making it potentially so much more in depth compared to the adventure games. You could travel to all these different cities, put items in your inventory and travel back to your child garden and just give your child so many things throughout the entire world. It sounds like such a cool idea, and this being an open world that Sonic will be made to be able to control well within a child garden, because he's supposed to be able to leisurely walk through areas and such to explore, and a child garden requires exactly that kind of movement. So this is just such a perfect opportunity. I can understand why it'd be a little bit awkward to include a child garden in like a boost game and such, but this being an open world exploration kind of game, a child garden is a perfect thing to put in here and a perfect way to elongate gameplay without making it a big part of the main campaign that could potentially serve as a pace breaker. Number 7, I'm kind of surprised I'm saying this actually, but I want this soundtrack to be a little bit more orchestral / symphonic, similar to Sonic Unleashed. Now, my personal favorite soundtracks in the Sonic series is Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic Heroes. These soundtracks that are very much students and youth penned and have this like electric guitar rock feel to them. I just love those soundtracks, it's great. However, I don't think that style of music will really work for this game, at least not as the majority sound. I think you need sounds that are a little bit more ambient for an open world kind of game, because imagine just hearing like Metal Harbor playing throughout the entire open world that you're traveling through. That would just feel awkward and annoying and just doesn't fit basically what kind of game this is supposed to be. So it's definitely okay to have like more intense rock tracks for like the more intense moments, like the boost levels for instance, but having a more ambient soundtrack is key for an open world game, just to really set the tone and really immerse you into an open world kind of experience. So I'm hoping that we get a soundtrack that is just as good as Unleashed, but that is a really tall order because that soundtrack is just amazing. And number 8, I really hope they don't put a focus on combat, at least not a huge focus anyway. So there were some leaks coming out about like a month ago, and it was basically saying that there was some kind of combat system and it definitely needed a lot of work just to be like fleshed out and such. I really don't want them to focus too much on combat. I feel like a game like this, exploration and adventure should really be the primary concern, which I think it is, but I think they're also just trying to add in a little bit of combat because maybe they think that just homing attacking enemies would be too boring. But honestly, I don't want them to make really complex combat because I don't want it to bog down the game experience and just hold you back from doing more adventuring and exploring. So I'm hoping that if there is a combat system, that it's not too complicated and that it does just gel into the game really easily and is not a pace breaker. Number 9, so I really don't think this is gonna happen, but this is just a pipe dream, but I've always wanted a return of adventure style gameplay, and I feel like this would be a great game to bring that back in. One, because of the open world control that you can have, but also because while you might have levels where you can do the boost gameplay, you could also have levels where you do the adventure style gameplay. And you know what, if they want to, they could even just assign that kind of gameplay to another character like Shadow for instance, or Tails, because fine, if you want to keep Sonic consistently boost, introduced, then that's totally fine with me. But being able to incorporate multiple gameplay styles and one of them being an adventure style gameplay would just be a dream come true. I miss that gameplay style so much. I wish Sega would just bite the bullet and just do it. Even if it's like an adventure remake, just do it. Like make a grand return of that kind of gameplay style, because I miss it so much and I would just love to see how they would attempt such a game this time. At number 10, this is going to sound very contradictory to everything I just said, but Sonic Team just needs to follow their gut and clear vision on this game. So I feel like something that Sonic Team always messes up on is incorporating too much feedback from voices around them. Like for instance, how they incorporated classic Sonic into Sonic Forces because Sega made them. Like no, Sonic Forces did not need classic Sonic. It was clearly meant to be a modern Sonic / Avatar kind of game. So you really didn't need classic Sonic in there to just add that nostalgic factor that Sega thought was such a big seller, which I don't really think worked for Forces because classic Sonic was such a dud. Don't dumb down stories to the point where not even children like it just because people don't like dark serious storylines anymore. Don't make Sonic the only character just because critics can't stop complaining about multiple Sonic characters being in the game. Just follow your own vision. If you think that this game needs this or that for that game to be a success, then do it. It's okay to listen to feedback. I definitely think you should at least be open to it and listen to people's ideas, but ultimately you need to have a clear vision of how you want this game to go, and that is the only way we're going to get the highest product in terms of quality possible. Because if Sonic Team is just trying to grab all these different ideas and just make them all work, it is never going to be a great game. Like we've seen this time and time and time again, where Sonic Team just listens to feedback too much and incorporates all these different ideas that just don't mesh well together. So I'm hoping that they finally learned their lesson and are just making Sonic Rangers or Sonic Frontiers, whatever this is supposed to call, their own special project that's completely directed by their own vision. Because I truly believe these people have what it takes to make a great game. I mean, they've done it in the past and they've made me as big of a Sonic fan as I am now, you know, so they must have done something right. So I just hope that they follow their gut and make this the game that they want it to be. But anyway, that is everything on my list. So let me know what 10 things you want to see in this game, or just like 1 or 2 things if you're not able to come up with that many stuff. And I just be really interested to hear what you have to say. You know, Sonic Frontiers, it being as big of a mystery as it is, it's so easy to just kind of go to all different kinds of places to imagine what could be in the game. But of course, make sure your expectations are leveled. You know, this game is not going to be like the biggest game of all time. Like that's just not realistic unless Sonic Team is hiding a lot from us. But I am hopeful that it is going to be a step in the right direction for this franchise and that we'll see some great games going forward. But alright, thank you so much everyone. This is Riders, riding out. Thank you so much for watching this video. Special shout out to my patrons, New Gamer Hub, Team Rattle Sign Gamer, Johnny Hinton Ortiz, Trash Q, Claw80 Floor. These are my patrons / YouTube members. If you'd like to become a patron or YouTube member, get access to a whole bunch of different perks, and please check out the links in the description box below. But alright, this is Riders, riding out.